Thanks, Karine. The meeting this afternoon, can you talk about what the president hopes to accomplish? Is he trying to get a deal here, walking out of this meeting today?
So, as the Admiral said, this focus on the meeting today is going to be on Ukraine and making sure that Congress, the congressional members who attend, understand that we need to continue the support for Ukraine. He's going to particularly underscore that if we abandon Ukraine, there will be consequences, right, to Ukraine, to the people of Ukraine, to the people who've been fighting for their democracy for so long. And let's not forget, they're fighting against the aggression from Putin. So we have to be really clear here. A failure to act will certainly means that it will not be helpful to our national security. So, and history has taught us that if we do not get involved and stop a dictator, we see what could happen. It could actually put our national security at risk. So that's going to be the focus today. It's going to be on Ukraine and really laying out why it's important to continue that support that we've been providing them.
But if it's good, the negotiations right now on immigration are taking place with the Senate. If the president has the speaker here, will he discuss immigration with the speaker?
So, look, I'll say this. The president obviously is welcoming congressional members here. He's open to hearing whatever conversations that they want to have, right? And so it is important, to have these conversations, obviously, in a bipartisan way. So that may come up. I certainly don't want to get ahead of those conversations, but the purpose of this meeting is about Ukraine. That is the purpose of this meeting, and that's what the president wants to really lay out, and the urgency to continue to support Ukraine, and why that's needed now, and how that affects our own national security. So that is the purpose. But of course, members of Congress are going to come, and they're going to have things that they want to talk to with the president. We certainly welcome that.
And why hasn't the president engaged in negotiations with the House? The White House has been on border security, on immigration. These negotiations take place in the Senate, but obviously the House has to say here, and they are not happy with what's happening on the Senate side of things.
I mean, look, the House went home in mid-December, right? While the negotiations were occurring and happening in the Senate in a bipartisan way, obviously Republicans and Democrats, and here at the White House, we were having those conversations, trying to find a bipartisan agreement. We were having those conversations even through the holiday weekend. The holiday break, and they decided to go home. Literally, they decided to go home, and so those conversations are going to continue. This meeting does not stop those conversations from continuing. We think it's headed in the right direction, so that's important as we're talking about the border security and what we can do to make sure that we're dealing with that issue. And so we appreciate Republicans and Democrats in the Senate operating with us in good faith, and we think it's headed in the right direction.
And finally, do you think that criticizing the House for going home improves your odds of getting whatever deal, should there be a deal in the Senate through the House? I'm just curious what the strategy is here.
Here's the thing, and I appreciate the question and I get the question, but Republicans in the House have been they've gotten in the way. They have gotten in the way when it comes to border security. They have gotten in the way and actually voted on pieces of legislation to take away some of the law enforcement, the CBP, right, at the border. That's what they voted on back in May. So we want to work with them, but they've been very clear where they stand. So, look, the president is looking forward to having a conversation with members of Congress, obviously, here with his own national security team, with other members of his team here. They're going to talk at 3:15, and he wants to really lay out the importance of Ukraine. He's always willing to hear out members of Congress on what they want to discuss. But we've been very clear. The Republicans in the Senate have wanted to work with us. They're talking through us, negotiating, trying to find a bipartisan agreement. And that's the way to move forward. Kadwisha.
Thank you, Karine. To follow up on Tolu's question, Harvey, Speaker Johnson has made clear that they're not even going to talk about Ukraine until the border is addressed. And he's made clear that it's H.R. 2 or bust. So how's the president going to navigate that in today's meeting?
He's not the only congressperson in the room today. He's not. He's not the only person that's going to be in the room. There'll be other congressional members. The president has been really clear. He wants to talk about Ukraine, the urgency of making sure we continue that assistance to Ukraine, what that means, not just for the broader world national security, but also for us. And so Speaker Johnson is not going to be the only person in the room. And so, look, but obviously, the president's going to bring people together. He wants to hear from folks, and so he's willing to hear what these congressional members want to talk about. But the purpose of this meeting is to talk about Ukraine.
What what can you get done without Speaker Johnson and
I'm not saying we
Republican
can't,
support?
I'm not saying that, I'm saying he's not, you're saying if he wants to talk about something else, like border security, how can the president manage the conversation? There will be other people in the room, and I think folks understand that there is a national security importance of having this meeting. That's why the president is bringing folks together, and not only that, let's not forget, they're going to hear also from his national security team as well.
Some people who won't be in the room are members of the press, and in the past meetings with congressional leaders have been open. Is there a reason why today's is closed?
So look, we'd had a similar meeting back in October, as you know, and so that was an important meeting about national security, the supplemental as well, and so that occurred. Look, not all meetings are public or have a press component. The president, as you know, has a long track record in Washington D.C. of bringing folks together, getting a bipartisan deal, and so he wants to make sure we get straight to work. He wants to make sure that we have this really important conversation. He wants to get straight to it. We expect some members of the Congress to go to the sticks after their meeting, so you certainly will hear directly from them, and we will have a readout as well of the meeting. So there'll be an opportunity to ask questions of the members. They'll be at the stick, and then you'll hear directly from us as well.
Thank you, Karine.